Michael, when we spoke at the Future Airports from Here to Where webinar last September, you outlined a brand new end-to-end platform for the airport and airline sectors. 4 months later, you're now heading up a new company, Omnevo, to deliver on your promises. Can you briefly provide us with the background to the establishment of the company, the name itself, and the players involved?
Yes, for sure. So the name is a synergy or a hybrid between omnichannel and evolution. That's how we came to the name Omnevo, because we see the rapid growth in the market and demand for omnichannel solutions. And as omnichannel itself is something which is an evolutionary technology, where you basically start with different, let's say, aspects in terms of the customer journey and different delivery options. So I can decide when I want to order something, where I want to order it, and how it's going to be delivered. And that's how we came actually up to the name. The company itself basically derives from AOE. AOE has a long-standing history in the travel commerce market. We had a lot of successful projects we've done for Singapore Airlines and for Heathrow, where we were at the forefront of these technologies. And the idea behind Omnevo is to basically in the future focus very strongly on travel and retail and hospitality. And that's why we have actually started a separate company with the focus of airlines, airports, and railways.
You have a new partner in the company though, don't you?
Yes, we have a new partner, and that was also one of the, let's say, initiatives which we started last year. It's a French company called Shifteo, which was focusing on the, let's say, back-end solutions. AOE traditionally is very, very strong at the front end, so everything to do with e-commerce, everything to do with the customer experience in the front end. And Shifteo is very strong and has a very strong record in the back-end solutions, so everything with supply chain and operations management. And to merge these two platforms together enabled us to have really the only platform in the market which is truly end-to-end and which allows a lot of different possibilities to work with. And as we build up the entire platform modular, it's also quite nice. You can start with a smaller project with an MVP or a proof of concept and then expand from there without to change any platforms. So it's a very smart way how we have built up this entire end-to-end platform here.
How much new thinking does the industry need to fast track what you're putting out there in front of them? How much of a change in culture mindset is required?
Well, we see there are different types of airlines and there are different types of mindset. So with some airlines we see, okay, they don't know how to deal with crisis, and others are pretty good in dealing with these crises. And one of the most important things is decision making. So what we see in the market is that many carriers are, or by sudden, forced to make decisions very fast, to actually try out new things without having any budgets and any capital available, and create new revenues in that environment. So basically having no time, no budgets, and the task to create revenues. So that actually fosters innovation and creativity, because you need to think about how can I do that? How can I create that? How can I actually very smartly, very fast try out these things? And that was also one of the reasons why we completely changed our business model behind Omnevo to really accomplish these new situations and these new kind of requirements in the market, and also enable our customers to start very small and then expand very fast and work on and basically learn on the experience. You know, a lot of airlines we see, for them it's a new field. They want to try it out. They basically know where they want to go, but they don't know how to get there. And that's why we're providing these opportunities to test it out fast and to have no risk and no huge investments, but to rather apply the agility which is in our DNA to do that.
So basically it's a new paradigm, and the paradigm first is digital.
Absolutely right. Yeah. And we've seen it. Obviously, the pandemic has fostered the touchless travel. So a lot of things have disappeared, which were kind of given in the past, like the trolleys on board, or magazines, or even the service concepts. So we see a huge shift to everything in terms of pre-order and reducing the physical touch points more into the digital touch points. And this is basically a massive paradigm change in the airline industry, and which comes to our advantage because we have these solutions off the shelf, ready to use. So airlines can actually plug and play very, very quickly. And as our whole IT structure is APA first based, so it's very easy to implement and doesn't need and require a lot of, let's say, technical involvement and technical discussions from the airline.
Now, of course, the question many will ask is why Omnevo is a separate business from AOE. Surely it's just an extension of what AOE already does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a very good question. I think there are a couple of reasons why we have done this move. On the one side, AOE has a very strong record in the aviation industry and also in the telecom, banking, and finance industry. So our decision was basically to say, okay, we want to really focus on that industry now. On top of that, we have added a couple of other kind of industries like the railway. We're also doing some work now for malls and the other areas, and they're pretty much in that one, let's say, travel and hospitality sector. One of the main reasons behind that is that AOE is a company which has a lot of very smart programmers and tech people and works a lot on bespoke projects. And our aim was to basically create a product company so that we are basically able to provide software suites and software products for customers in a modular way. And that was one of the main reasons behind that. And also, like I said before, in the merger with Shifteo, where we wanted to create one new entity, which is basically only focusing on the travel, retail, and hospitality part.
Hospitality is going to be pretty important for you, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, when we look at what's happening in the market, hospitality is very important. Yes, we have the software solutions to basically run and manage such complex systems. Hospitality is very important because we see a much stronger shift to pre-order and pre-select to reduce the waste on board, or even completely other models where airlines are really considering their onboard or in-flight products at the moment. And we see a lot of demand in that field currently. And also in terms of sustainability, it makes sense because you reduce waste. And in terms of passenger experience, it also makes sense because you can actually increase the choice. So that's why we are also seeing a lot of focus in that area currently. And it helps airlines to basically save quite a lot of money.
Well, you've clearly identified a gap in the market and are determined to fulfill a real need. Rail is an interesting addition to your portfolio. Are there different tailor-made platforms for each of the sectors you're interested in?
Well, as you rightly said, there are specific needs for each market. So airline has a different need. An airline has much more information about their passenger. So the integration of loyalty programs there becomes more important. An airport has a growing infrastructure with shops and so on. So there might be other needs. And again, for a railway industry, it's a different market again. What we see, at least there is a huge commonality in the platform behind that. And that's what we're providing for all three markets. And for all three markets, the functionalities of the platform are pretty much the same, because it doesn't really matter if you basically integrate a retailer or a shop or a catering company. So the possibilities are pretty broad. And that's how we set up the platform, to give us a broad spectrum of applicable solutions. And I think behind that, the DNA is that platform with specific kind of characteristics for these different markets.
So can you actually drill down and give us one example where the platform works as one entity and the passengers or shoppers don't have to go to 4 different apps, for example, to get what they want? How will you deliver what you say you're going to deliver?
Well, as it is a kind of a 360-degree platform, it covers everything from basically my mobile app or my shopping app, where I can select either food, duty-free, excursions, or services, either on my mobile phone or my own device or at home at my desktop. Throughout the travel journey at the airport, if it be then maybe in the lounge, if it will be pickup, it will be delivering, as well as on board, where it can be either connected again in the aircraft Wi-Fi system with my own device or within the in-flight seat entertainment, and then again at the destination, where I either get products, services, or other things delivered, or which I booked before, or which I booked during my flight. And that really describes omni-channel. So that's, for example, for the airline part. For the airports, it's again to offer the possibilities for shops, for brands to be integrated in a wider ecosystem. Here we see more integration projects, because airports are struggling with the, let's say, with the identification of passengers and their data. So they want to make sure that they have a single sign-on, for example, and they've got parking, they've got fast track and shopping all integrated in one app. And in the train industry, it's another challenge again. So here we are more looking on the catering side, because the train providers and the catering companies, they provide services on board where they create some ancillary revenues as well, and where we basically manage the entire program. And here we have an open system. So basically, we also manage crew and forecasting as well. And also the waste is a huge problem, because trains are catered during different stations. So if a train goes from the north of Germany to the south of Italy, for example, it has different fill-up stations where catering and the crew is exchanged. So the complexity is a complete different one there, and that gives a little bit let's say the focus points of the different areas.
It's very interesting. You clearly have the pedigree as a business, given your successes with the clients that you've already mentioned. That gives you a prime mover advantage against some of the Me Too's that may follow in your wake. That's important. But in terms of the sectors themselves, do you have a priority list? Are they all equally prioritized, or is there a ranking in terms of which ones you think are going to be the fastest responders?
Well, as we have history already in all 3 areas, and Shifteo already has also a couple of train operators where they do their services and provide the product platform. I think there are no specific focuses. I would just say in the terms of recovery, airlines are probably a little bit faster than airports, but we have also a couple of airport projects at the moment. I think it's just a phase approach which we're going through. And as you see, train providers are also growing their market share. So I wouldn't say we have a specific focus. I think we're looking equally in the different areas. And there are also obviously associated, or let's say close by areas where we also do different activities and looking into it at the moment.
You mentioned airlines, and I want to stay on that for the moment. So, do you actually think that enough of them can pivot fast enough to realize that ancillary revenues are in fact a major key to their ongoing survival?
We see it actually with every airline and every customer we speak to. I think it's a mandatory because you'll find it's pretty difficult to predict how the market will in which direction it will move, but you see already a very strong footprint of low-cost carriers, and they put a very strong pressure in the market in terms of their ticket pricing. And at low-cost carriers traditionally don't make their money from flying people from A to B, but rather with the ancillary revenues, they have a huge advantage compared to legacy carriers, which puts legacy carriers under even more pressure to find ancillary revenues. And this is what we're seeing currently in the market. And I remember once speaking to a CEO of an airline, or it was actually a founder and CEO of an airline, and he said every airline has to be low cost. So every airline needs to be low cost in their operations and in their basically cost structure, because the margins are pretty thin, and the competition is very strong in the market. And so you really need to be, let's say, operationally and from your cost structure very, very, very smart. On top of that, legacy airlines are facing a grown diversity of their IT landscape and architecture, where you often find redundancies and many different systems in place, which could be replaced maybe by one system or less systems. And that's another challenge legacy airlines are facing at the moment. And that's on the other side, where we have also a lot of capabilities on helping and supporting, identifying these overlaps and helping airlines to solve these pain points, because that's traditionally where the DNA of Omnevo and AOA comes from. It's a technological company, so all the, let's say, all the knowledge and all the understanding of these tech platforms is a huge differentiator for us compared to many other companies in that market, which come classically from a supply chain or a product background.
So would you say then that Omnevo in its own way is a no-frills business, which actually gets to the point very quickly and doesn't actually try and mystify the client with hyper-tech?
Exactly. I think our aim is to basically help our customers and support our customers to become digitally advanced and use the full potential of these digital platforms. We often see that there's a bit of a mystifying around this digital, let's say, possibilities or opportunities. But I think it's very important to really, and there's not one fits all. You really need to look at each carrier individually. What is their current IT landscape? What is their current structure? What is their ambitions? How digitally ready is it? How is the organization looking like? So it's a kind of a scoping and consulting, which we usually do in the beginning to really understand where the main pain points are and where are the quick wins, and how can we actually help and support our customers to solve these challenges and to improve their cost structure, to increase their ancillaries, to reduce complexity. These are exactly the different things we're looking into. And what are the quickest and fastest ways in the given environment to create ancillaries, to save costs, and to do it fast? I think the time factor is a huge thing nowadays. That decisions need to be made fast, and also to test things on, as I said before, on a rather do a minimal viable product or a proof of concept in a couple of months, and then you see what purchasing behavior you have, what conversions you have, how much people were on the platform, how much they shopped, how long they've been looking at certain things. So you quickly learn from these trials. And that's, again, at the DNA of our company is to act and behave agile,
Michael, one final question. If there was one thing you wanted to say to the business community, what would it be?
That's a very good question. I would say use this as a chance. It's a unique momentum in the industry to use it to digitalize your customer journey, to become more touchless, and to get closer than ever to your customers on that way.
Michael Raasch, thank you for your time. I wish you every success.
Thank you very much, Peter. It's good to speak to you. Thank you.